I think it's incredibly disgraceful to lower down the virtues of Lent compared to Ramadan.
Okay.
Because listen, you would take it that some people would even wake up, for example, at 12, 11. Okay, if they're not eating for 5 hours and then they're eating more after that 5 hours, that's gluttonous.
Right.
That's
I don't
gluttony.
understand why you're so pressed about people not eating.
Well, I think the reason why I'm asking you this at Speaker's Corner, right, and afterwards we can actually have a discussion why you're not a Christian. The only reason why I'm asking this is because rhetorically, Muslims are sold the concept of Ramadan as a sense of masculinity or it being disciplined, which I find none of the qualities in.
Women do it as well.
I mean, they're just going to say it's virtuous. I mean, you can still be masculine and still be effeminate.
I don't think it's that deep, bro. I think people do Ramadan. Number one reason is because God told them to. Number two, it's such an obvious way to discipline yourself. You're disciplining yourself.
So would you accept that Ramadan isn't healthy?
You can make it healthy. It depends on your person, on who you are.
Okay.
You can try it.
So, on average, again, I refer to this study done in Somalia in 2018. I'll defer back to the Somalian study in 2018. 83% increase in diabetic attacks in Somalia at the time of Ramadan.
Okay.
Are those people who already have diabetes overeating at the time of Ramadan? Are they being disciplined and are they healthy?
I don't know, bro, but what I'm saying is...
Okay, let me not even be specific. If a diabetic person decides my eating schedule is as thus.
Ramadan because a diabetic person might die if they eat.
No, what I'm saying is.
Person from Somalia.
No, what I'm saying is the demographic. What I'm saying is the way that Ramadan is structured is just delayed gluttony.
I think it's a really simple. You're overcomplicating. It's a really simple.
Overeating after a period about 6-5 hours.
Depends on the person you are. Some people don't overeat. The Prophet Muhammad actually didn't overeat from in his breaking of fast. He would have a few dates, and there's even some hadith saying he would have a handful of food. People who do overeat, that's their own problem.
But you can overeat.
You can overdo whatever in Christianity. You can do whatever.
Well, no,
you like.
because when I say I'm taking part in Lent, it's not allowing me to be a gluttonous person.
No,
when I take part in Ramadan, I'm allowed to be a gluttonous person. Do you see the where within Lent would it say that I'm allowed to overeat?
I don't know, where in Ramadan does it say you're allowed to overeat?
You just said that Muslims, and by the way, you didn't condemn those that did that.
Condemn who?
Would you condemn, okay, Islamically,
anyone.
would you condemn people that would eat typically? Would you condemn someone who overeats at the time of Ramadan, and it has to be Islamic, not your own personal interpretation, just saying I don't feel like you should do this. According to the Sunnah,
condemn a specific person,
people's actions.
Someone who has a specific lifestyle.
Actions.
Someone has a specific lifestyle and actions.
Actions.
Is not Islam.
Okay, so you take it. Where within Islam would it say you're not allowed to do this?
Where in Lent does it say you're not allowed to overeat after you fast?
I'm not allowed to. Okay, so the distinction is.
Actually, being gluttonous is haram, by the way.
Okay, so what I take gluttony to mean is just eating more typically on average what you do eat as some sort of fantastic reward of what you've done.
In Islam, being gluttonous is haram as well. One of the 5 pillars is zakat, which means 2.5% of your earnings goes to charity.
Oh, am I allowed to take advantage of zakat, by the way?
What does that mean?
Is a Christian al-Kitab, the people of the book, people who are not Muslims, are they allowed to take advantage in zakat?
As in, are you allowed zakat?
You know, am I allowed the money that's put towards zakat? Am I allowed to take advantage of that money?
If you are a needy person, you are potential. So zakat, especially in the last 10 days of Ramadan. I think when I went to the khutbah on Friday prayer, the Sheikh said the first priority is your local community.
Okay, they didn't answer my question.
Look, if you're part of the local community and you're in need of money,
where within Islam does it say that Christians are allowed to take part and take advantage of zakat?
I don't know, bro. I'm not that religious.
Because nowhere within the Sunnah would it say that zakat is permissible for Christians. And take it like this. I don't think charity is discriminatory. I don't think that, let's just say what's currently going on in Gaza. I don't think we should send welfare to Gaza and say that only Muslims that are disaffected by this war are allowed to have this food. I think that's not charity. I think that's discrimination. Okay. Don't you feel?
So if you think that someone gives money to Palestine, to Gaza, do you think there's a guy in Gaza giving out that charity asking people, are you you Muslim or you Christian?
Well, no.
Do you think that's happening?
No, it doesn't matter if they're checking. What the point is, let's just say this charity advertises exclusively Muslim Palestinians. You would say that's wrong.
Go on the ground and be like, "Oh, bro, you Muslim? Are you Christian?"
Not my
sorry,
point.
you can't have
Not my
today,
point. Let's just say the charity's policy is that you're not allowed to give the food that we give you to hand out to people, non-Muslims. But in fact, people on the ground who represent this charity, in fact, do give it. Now, the policy contradicts the person's actual actions. Your analogy is stipulating that the people on the ground are actually doing nice things, whilst the policy of the charity itself, which you agreed, is wrong. You agree it's wrong to discriminate. So where within the Sunnah would it say that Christians are allowed to take advantage of zakat?
I'm not religious.
Because I can tell you here, there's nowhere within the Islamic literature that would say your 2.5% is allowed to be for anyone other than Muslims.
Yeah. Do you know that we're also encouraged to give more than zakat? So you've got zakat, and then you give.
But this is the foundational tenets of Islam, and and you've just said that what is anti-gluttonous is zakat.
And more. So
look how much virtue is in this.
Especially in the last 10 days of Ramadan, you are meant to give more than zakat, charity in general.
Yes, but one of the foundational hujjah, things that are bounding upon every single Muslim in order to get to Jannah, is to give charity. I can't receive this charity, therefore definitionally it's not a charity.
Is it?
Of course not.
So
it's a redistributive tax.
So if I give it to a charity in Gaza, if I haven't given it to Ukraine, I'm being discriminatory as well.
No, what I'm saying is if you say that only Ukrainians in Ukraine are allowed to take part in your charity that I pay for
what
towards...
charity is discriminating in Gaza right now?
I'm saying if there was.
Oh, if there was.
Yes, if there was a charity in Gaza that said only Muslims are allowed to take advantage of this. Because it's exactly analogous to what zakat is. Zakat is a redistributed tax. I don't take it that paying my taxes towards the welfare state is charity. Would you agree?
So what's this got to do with being gluttonous in Ramadan?
You said that something is anti-gluttonous, something which opposes the concept of gluttony within Islam.
Zakat is not the only thing that is being anti-gluttonous in Islam, being anti-gluttonous in general.
No, let's stick to zakat. You said it's anti-gluttonous, it's something which is virtuous. I can't receive it. So if there are Christians which are, and by the way, there are countries in Islam, Muslim countries, that most of the poor people, or most Christians are poor. Now, within these countries, I can't take advantage of zakat. Right? Almost half of the Christian Pakistani...
What countries are Muslim there? So in my opinion, there are no Muslim countries. They're all corrupt.
Okay, you can say that, but even then they're enshrining the laws which you agree with.
Not really.
Okay, you believe that non-Muslim...
I'm not going to tell you now, I've been Muslim for like a month.
Of course.
Who you think I am? Like,
of course.
I'm not like, oh, I believe in Sharia.
Wait, so hold on. You have been a Muslim for a month.
I've been Muslim my whole life,
and you've made the decision
for a month.
Okay, that's fine, and I'll tone down my rhetoric, and then we can have a discussion on why you're not Christian. But you have made in a month a historical and geological claim that these selective Muslim countries are not in fact Muslim.
That's because I've been brought up in a Middle Eastern household, and I know that these countries are not Muslim.
And why would that be?
Because you can just tell, bro. Like, you can tell Saudi Arabia is not Muslim because they do really bad things.
And I agree. In fact, I think that's an argument against Islam. I think Islam is watering it down its tradition and showing its deception.
I wouldn't agree on that, but I would say that...
Okay, let's see.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. So me, I started Ramadan, right?
Yeah.
Every single day I've been giving £10 in charity as a form of zakat. And you think that's me discriminating?
I think if this charity is saying that only Muslims take advantage of that, I don't think just as much as welfare...
I've been giving £10 to Gaza
One second. And that's a good thing, right? We can all agree giving charity is a good thing. But if you're saying zakat specifically is a good thing, I would disagree with you.
I'm more than happy to give zakat to my Muslim brothers. What's wrong with that?
Okay, it's a redistributive tax. I don't take advantage of any of it.
Okay, but for you as a Muslim to give...
If I pay the welfare of the government,
to other Muslims,
I don't think that's charity.
You're not focusing on the good deeds of giving money to Muslims. You're focusing on, how come other people aren't getting that money?
Well, here's the point. If you have the intention of doing something, but in fact you're doing the inverse of it, that's exactly my point.
But why can't you have zakat, which is giving money to Muslim brothers, and also the ideas of the Prophet of giving more money during Ramadan?
Well, what's the point of zakat then? If you can just give... what's a better financial decision? Okay, so of course you want to give charity, right?
Yeah.
And of course also you want to at least be able to survive in terms of your budget. Okay, let's just remove the fact you're a Muslim. Let's just say you hold no religious suppositions. What is better financially? You to give money to 2 charity organizations. One gives, and let's just give Gaza, because of course we all pray for the people that are currently being persecuted in Gaza, right? So let's just take these 2 charities towards Palestine. One is only giving food and nutrition.
So we're doing a hypothetical and a hypothetical. First, we the hypothetical of we're giving money.
No,
then
it's a question.
That they will reach
you've talking. Well, first, the analogies are good to demonstrate your logical consistency.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let me pose you this question.
Yeah.
We have 2 charities, both supporting Palestine. One is exclusively giving money to one age and gender demographic, and it will be given to less people, but you're paying the same amount of money. The other one is giving equally to all ages and all sexes that are all discriminated against. Which one, considering you're on a budget and you can't spend money on both of these charities, would you give?
What I would do is I'm more than happy to pay my 2.5% zakat, which
Didn't answer my question. Which one would you buy?
to be honest, you kind of lost me.
Okay, so there are 2 Palestinian charities.
One gives to Palestine, one gives to Muslims.
No. One gives to one demographic and gives less on average food because it's a smaller demographic, but people outside of this demographic are being equally persecuted against what you would say is a violent regime, Israel. The other one is giving money and giving food and resources to every demographic that is being persecuted against and that is disaffected by this war. And you can only pick one charity. Which one is it?
Second.
Of course. Now,
So when you give money to a Muslim foundation in Gaza, they will do that.
But they will only be able to give it to the Muslims.
No, well, do they do that?
Of course.
Do you think that they get the line for food and they say, "Are you Muslim?" They say
On the ground,
and they say
on the ground, it may be different. Sure, there may be sympathy for the staff and members, and of course, a Christian can say, "Oh, Habibi, I'm a Muslim." But the point is this: the policy of zakat is that you can only give charity to the Muslims, a redistributive tax. And you've disagreed to me that you would give your money to the second charity because it's more effective for the money you give to it. My point is this: it's good to give charity. It's not good and it's not effective to give zakat. You would say that avoiding a religious supposition, zakat conceptually, the underlying principles of zakat, is less effective than another charity which would give to everyone.
Can I ask you a question? If you gave money to your church, how much of that money will go to Muslims?
I mean, of course. Well, here's the thing.
So it's the same as zakat at the end of the day.
But my Christian religion does not say that this is so virtuous to give this charity, and in fact, there's a distinction between an act of charity and a donation. You agree, right? I'm donating to the church. It's not charity.
True.
Okay, so I'm donating, and why don't you say this? Next time you're giving zakat, it's a donation, not a charity. These are 2 things.
What's that gonna?
Because then you'll clear up to all the people that you're preaching to that instead of it being a charity, something virtuous, it's at your own personal discretion, and it's a donation to a masjid, it's a donation to a Muslim.
So you don't like zakat because it discriminates?
I don't think it's effective. Just as much as if I would spend my money where it can help the more people.
All the extra things that Muslims do in charity.
I'm not rejecting that. I'm just saying that if Muslims want to be more virtuous,
like those 2 types,
Muslims,
one type.
no, I'm just saying if Muslims want to be more virtuous, they should instead divot all their funds away from zakat and give it to charities which would broadly give more money and more funds to other people.
But religions have this custom of treating their own in a different way. For example,
no, it doesn't. The core tenets of Christianity is that
religions.
Well, yes,
so
Christianity is an example. Which
Jewish
is
religion. Sometimes you don't do interest on Jewish people, but you can do interest on other people. So you treat people
I'm a Christian, so
I
don't care. I think all other religions of their own merit are either immoral or proven to be false. We can have a discussion about that in 1 second. Okay. So as a Christian, the core tenets of Christianity is that Christ comes down for everyone, and we should give charity universally to everyone, and not someone who just calls himself to be a Christian. Which you agreed to, by the way. Christianity, as a terms of what they outline as a charity scheme, is more effective than zakat. Why? Because you've just said that what is the more efficient charity to give is out which would help all of the demographics that are being persecuted. Now, what you've said to me is that why do you care that if they're doing both? I'm saying if they're doing both, they should remove the former, that being zakat, and put all their money towards a charity which would help everyone, not just Christians.
Okay.
Now, let's transition the discussion, because of course I only recently found out you've been a Muslim a month, right? So that's unfair.
I've been technically Muslim my whole life, but I've been practicing strictly for a month.
Okay, that's fair. Just as myself, for example, I'd probably label myself as well. So I got a question. Why, in a Western country which is culturally Christian, have you rejected the notion of Christianity?
I haven't rejected, I've just indulged in my me being a Muslim more.
Okay, so you're saying that the reason why you're a Christian, not a Christian, is because you're a Muslim?
Yeah.
Before we continue with a critique about Islam, I just very quickly want to say, there's no issues you have with Christianity of its own merits. Okay, so if I disprove Islam to you, you'd be a Christian? Yeah.
So you're raising money, like let's say a Christian,
Yeah.
a priest,
Yeah.
raises money for a church.
Yeah, it's a donation,
It's a donation.
not a charity.
Is that wrong?
It's not wrong, but it's a donation.
So is that wrong?
It's not wrong,
So if
but it's a donation.
So-
Is zakat a donation or a charity?
so if I see a lot of Muslim brothers and I raise money for them,
So it's a donation.
yeah, but you're saying that zakat is wrong.
No, I'm saying it's more, it's less
saying,
effective.
You know, some of the youth,
Yeah.
when they come out the street and that,
Yeah,
they got sometimes the church raises money for them.
it's a donation.
Yeah, but it's still a form of charity, no?
And I wouldn't say it's a form of charity.
So
No,
it's not a form of charity.
it's a donation.
So it's not a form of charity.
It's a donation.
So it's a donation.
Yes.
So you disagree that's a charity? It's a form of charity.
Yeah, it's a form of donation.
Of charity.
A charity is just giving to a disaffected group of people.
And don't you think people that have just come out the streets, they're disaffected?
I mean, of course, but then the church is given as a community centre. But the church is given as a community centre.
But you just said donating to a charity.
Yeah.
Donating to a church.
But if I'm saying,
you just said
I'm giving
donate to a church
money.
or a charity.
Listen, I'm giving a money to a church because the church is going to be a community centre for disaffected people. And what you're saying is the kids on the street, they may not all be Christians, but if they're not all Muslims in this situation, then they're not allowed to take advantage of zakat. Now, sure.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm a Muslim guy, yeah?
Yeah.
I go to the church.
Yeah.
Will they give me donations raised by the church?
Yeah.
So you agree on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Do you want to go to my church?
Let's go. Let's plan a day. I'll go to the church.
Yeah, we can go to my church. I can ask my priest. One sec.
I'll come to the church
Don't.
and I'll talk to the priest. How many you have now? And he's gonna raise.
I guarantee you.
Let's say I'm a guy, hypothetically.
I guarantee you.
Alright, so he'll raise money for me, yeah? And people, and you're telling me Christians, you're telling me whatever, Catholics or Protestants, they will give me money knowing that I'm a Muslim.
How about this? I'll give you an
Are they gonna-
example.
are they
I
gonna-
will give you an
listen,
example.
listen,
I will give you an
no,
example.
no.
Do you want me to give you an example? I'll give you an example biblically.
No, I'm not saying biblically. I'm saying in this day and age.
Yes.
In this day and age, if I go to the church and I come as a Muslim man, they will raise money for me for coming out of the street.
Yes, because you understand that this is Middle Eastern wary. I go to a Greek Orthodox church. If you walk up like this, I'll think you're Greek. You understand that the Middle East is the center point
I'm
of.
not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying where. I'm saying.
As dressed up as a Muslim man, Habibi, you'll be a Christian.
I'm not saying dressed up.
Doesn't matter.
I'm not saying dressed up. I'm saying I'm gonna
As a Muslim man,
there's gonna be a.
I can give you an example.
I can use that saying a Muslim man.
Yes.
I've just come off the streets and that.
Yes.
And he needs money.
Yes.
To start up a home.
Yes.
This, that, and you're telling me I'll get donations.
I've got a question. The YMCA, right, is funded by Christians and houses all religious people. That's one example. The second example is Paul. Paul literally unalived Christians. And according to Acts, Christ says that he is the instrument of God. He's the instrument of Christ himself.
I'm saying
that a Christian gives charity to anyone.
I need you to prove to me that I'm a Muslim guy. I'm gonna go to the church and they're gonna raise money for me.
Off camera, we'll go to a Christian right now.
Cool.
Guarantee you.
We'll do it, yeah?
No, I'll guarantee you. Any church.
And we'll do it.
Okay.
I know some guy that's homeless homeless that's just came off the streets right now.
Yes.
We'll go to a church.
Yes.
And we'll raise money for them.
Yeah, go on.
And we'll talk to them.
Yeah. Any church, we'll go to anyone.
Church, give me your social media and we'll do it. But
Go on, I'm not on Instagram, go on TikTok.
Instagram.
Go on TikTok.
I'll go on TikTok.
Now, let's now discuss why you're not a Christian.
No, I don't want to discuss that.
Okay, why should I be a Muslim? Why should I be a Muslim?
Do you know what it is?
Yeah?
I'm not the one preaching to you. You were the one preaching to me.
Yeah, that's why I want you to give your case. One sec.
You drink Muhammad's urine.
Hey, well, message me there.
Yeah,
One sec.
I'll message you there and we'll sort it out.
Yeah, message
then we'll
me.
get back onto the debate.
Yeah, go on.
Have a good day. What's your name?
Just call me Bob.
Bob, yeah?
Yeah.
Akeem. See you later.
Well, that's the challenge to all the Christians on the camera. I will confirm that is true, and we'll set up. How about this? We'll do a little Holmes's Den, yeah? We'll start up a GoFundMe. So this is the challenge. We're going to, after I message that guy, he receives me a message. I'll get JC to send the details of this individual, and we'll raise money to him on so-called films and on Revelation. And then I'll also get my priest and all the priests in the surrounding area and different dominations of Christianity, and let's see how much money we'll raise from him. Because I guarantee you, any zakat is not uncomparable to Christianity. Now it's kind of weird for me. I don't really run these these social debates, right? I usually do philosophical arguments, so that's why a lot of my rhetoric is stolen from Bob himself. Funny enough, I don't really search up the jurisprudence of Islam. I really tap it off its merit scripturally and in terms of its philosophy. So, see you out in the next one, innit?